All right, so I've got all my camera gear out here, and I'm just going to kind of go through each one of the things and say why I use it and what I'm doing with it all. I'm about to go on a trip, and I'm just taking out all the pieces because I've started gathering all these pieces over the years, and it's hard to manage. Um, Knowing what you have, what you need to bring, and going places and having what you need at the time. So just quickly going over some of the pieces that I have. First off, I have the batteries that are here. I use them all for the flashes. I always have to keep them charged, 4 per flash, and then plus the pocket wizards, I'll use them. Then I got the compact flashes. Most of my cameras are using compact flash right now. I do 8 gig cards. I don't go 32 as much or any higher, just if the card gets corrupt. I don't want to have that much done. Oh, my battery pack over here that I use is just the fans come on, so I'm just going to turn that off. I'm just charging some batteries there with it. This is what I use for the strobes when I'm out in the bush, are going out in remote locations, so it works really well. Now going back here for the camera, I'm running right here with a D4. I've got a at the bottom there is just to mount for the tripod. Then I've got the battery pack. It can charge 2 at the same time, which is really nice, and it's got calibration for that. There's a remote. I've got the remote trigger right there, so I can trigger the camera remote. I got my main flashes, and these are the main flashes that I use all the time, or lenses I use all the time. I don't really deviate from it. I got the 50 millimeter on the camera. For macro, I'm using 100. It says 105 millimeter 2.8 right there, and then this one's a 24 to 70 1 point or 2.8 on there, and this is 70 to 200 2.8. They're all vibration reduction. There's a 14 to 24, and that's the big wide angle with a big bubble lens on the front of it. Then over here I've got a teleconverter which converts this to from 200 to 400, so it gives a little bit more distance. There's just some cables. This one goes on top of a mount to hold a zoom recorder that I'll show you in a bit. Here's 3 pocket wizards that I use, but when I want to get some real high speed flash stuff, I'm using these ones here, so I can shoot over 250. Here's a couple of flashes that I use, SB 900, SB 910, and I got another 900. Here's a snoot for light painting with the 3 flashlights, so I can direct the light when I'm painting, so I can squeeze to the end. And this is just duct tape, made my own. This are some filters that I can put over the flashes for the different colors. Got 2 Gorilla Pods here. The Gorilla Pods, this one's the cheaper one. This is a $100 one, $65 one. This one's better because it's more stable, more sturdy. This one, the legs pop off and it's just not as sturdy to hold things. I think this is a Gary Vaughn, goes on the end of the flash there. Monopod, sometimes the camera gets heavy. When I got this 70 to 200 on there and I'm shooting events or different things, the monopod kind of helps my back out. Use the orange cable for tethering, plugging the camera into the computer when I'm shooting. I like the long cord, like it's orange, that you don't want to be tripping on it. Just some cloths, I use that to spray to clean the lenses, to knock off the dust because I don't want to scratch them up. Got a Polaroid camera here. This pops up and you can take pictures right off your your iPhone. You put your iPhone on top, it prints out a Polaroid. Having lots of fun with that one. This one here is a trigger trap. Plugs into the camera and triggers as soon as it hears sound. It triggers. So that's why I've got some guns here. This is a BB gun. This shoots copperhead BBs, and the copperhead BBs and using those canisters over there, it really gives a good punch to break stuff, so I can catch it with trigger trap. I had the cheaper version with the plastic gun, $34 with the little plastic BBs, and it was no good. Next to that, I've got some lighter fluid. I think I was needing that at one point when I was doing some light painting or some night photography. The dog leash there with the whisk I use when I go over and I put some steel wool, fine steel wool, inside the whisk. I light it on fire and then spin it, and it makes some really interesting photography. Rain-X is a weird one to have too. I use Rain-X, I put it on glass. Sometimes I take picture frame glass out and just put the Rain-X on it. So then I spray water on top of it, then it all beads up. Then once it's all beaded up, I use macro photography, get the 100mm lens, place it above, and then shoot below. It gets some interesting pictures. This one here I use for my iPhone, plugs into that. Sometimes I put it mounted on my car or something. Or else when I'm doing trigger trap uses the iPhone to trigger the camera with that setup, so I use that to hold it all together. I got some light painting pieces here that I use. These all light up different colors and got lights on the end, and then when you're moving them around in the dark, they make some interesting things. That's what all these sparklers are for. These are some massive sparklers. I haven't used them yet. I got some balloons for high-speed photography and glow sticks, some more for the gun canisters. There's the 2 types of tape. I use duct tape and then also use the gaffer's tape. Gaffer's tape isn't as sticky. It's really good to use. It's not as strong as that, but it's good to just tape on, tape off, and you're good to go. This one here is an egg timer. An egg timer is good for when I'm doing, I put the GoPro on top and I turn on the egg timer and it spins, and when the GoPro's doing time lapse, I get a 360 on this. It just kind of looks like a lens, but it's really an egg timer. The fine wool, you have to get fine wool if you're going to spin it with the egg beater, because steel wool burns really easily. Then got some smoke grenades, more sparklers and glow sticks, and different pieces inside of there. Going back to, I guess going over here to the Pro Photo, I've got a 5-foot octagon box there, and then this is for my backlight. I got another box there. Those are basically some of the, when you get to the strobes. Before I go over there, let's have a look here. I've got a couple GoPros. Got about 3 GoPros. Got some remotes there, lots of accessories, because you can do so much with that and put it in different places. Going around here, I've got a good sturdy tripod. Everybody needs one of those with a good head mount. Here I've got some tripod mounts there, and then I got 300 watt Pro Photo right here. That's 300 watt. It's got some different size grids there. It's got some grids there. Got an umbrella there and some backdrop pieces. These are always really good because you always can be clamping and putting pieces up, and working with this and working with gaffer's tape, it can really help steer the light where you need it sometimes. Yeah, and just all mounts for flashes going on top of tripods. On the floor here, I got a big boom. The boom is for the 5-foot octagon box because it's so heavy, just making sure it's stable with some sandbags in the background there. Here's a couple 2400 watt strobes. So got 3 big strobes there, and then on the floor next to it, this inside of here is a big telescope that goes across the legs, so then it holds up the backdrop. Then the backdrop, I got big rolls of paper inside of here that goes on top of that so then you got your own background. On the floor down here, I just got a couple things charging, iPhone charger, and just I can charge GoPros and different things with these chargers, just that when I'm out I don't like to be without power, so I've always got different pieces. And then last but not least, I've got here I'm just taking it out from here, is a zoom, and the zoom records voice or records sound a little bit better than the GoPro, so then when I dub this video together, I'll use the sound off the zoom here. But that's pretty well it. Lots of different pieces that I've collected over the years that have really helped out for different projects, and I keep them all. A couple other things I just didn't mention I see now is that there's a couple hard drives here. There's a couple gig hard drives that when I'm traveling, I want to have a backup, primary, secondary, tertiary. The primary would be the computer. So once on the computer, I like to have 3 copies just in case. And then we got a light meter that's there that I never mentioned. But pretty well that's all I got right now. And kind of the gear that I've gathered. Hope you enjoyed it.